President, please be seated. The court is now in session. Today, the Chamber continues to hear the testimony of two TCW 900 via a video link. Mr. Ji Su-Huang, please report the attendance of the parties and other individuals to today's proceedings. Greffier. Good morning, Mr. President. For today's proceedings, all parties to this case are present. Mr. Nuchi is present in the holding cell downstairs. He has waived his right to be present in the courtroom. The waiver has been delivered to the greffier. The witness who is to continue his testimony today, that is to TCW 900, via a video link from Udon Minchey province, is ready, and the AV unit personnel informs the chamber that the link has been set up. Duty Counsel Mom Rati is also ready to assist the witness, and there is no reserved witness today. President, thank you. The chamber now decides on the request by Nuon Chea. The chamber has received a waiver from Nuon Chea dated 22nd March 2016, which states that due to his health, that is headache, back pain, he cannot sit or concentrate for long, and in order to effectively participate in future hearings, he requests to waive his right to be present at 22nd March 2016 hearing. Having seen the medical report of Nuon Chea by the duty doctor for the accused at the ECCC, dated 22nd March 2016, which notes that Nuon Chea has a back pain and feels dizzy, and recommends that the chamber shall grant him his request so that he can follow the proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs. Based on the above information and pursuant to Rule 81.5 of the ECCC internal rules, the chamber grants Nuon Chea his request to follow today's proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs via an audio-visual means. The chamber instructs the AV unit personnel to link the proceedings to the room downstairs so that Nuon Chea can follow. That applies for the whole day. Good morning, Mr. Witness. Are you ready? Witness. Yes, Mr. President, I am ready. President, thank you. The chamber would like to hand the floor now to the lead co-lawyers to put questions to the witness. You may proceed. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. I'd like to assign to Madam Chet Van Lee, the civil party lawyer, to put questions to the witness, and my supplement some questions as well. President, yes, she may proceed. Chet Van Lee. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. Good morning, everyone in and around the courtroom. I'd like to continue where the co-prosecutor left off yesterday. Good morning, Mr. Witness. My name is Chet Van Lee. I'm a civil party lawyer. Are you ready to testify, Mr. Witness? Witness, yes, I am ready. Counsel, I'd like to return to some of your responses yesterday, since they are not clear to me. My question is the following. After 1975, why there was an integrated of the two divisions, that is division 11 and another division into division 801? Answer. When the two divisions, that is 11 and 14, were integrated, since at that time we had to participate in the attack of battlefield 990 and to advance toward liberating Phnom Penh. And we were stationed at the spearhead of Phnom Prasad. Counsel interrupts. Mr. Witness, due to my limited time, please respond directly to my question rather than to make a lengthy description. President. Counsel, how can he respond briefly to your question? You asked for the reason for the reintegration of the two divisions. Then the response cannot be in one word. You ask for an explanation from the witness, and he is trying to give you that response. If you think of the interest of time, then you need to think of how to formulate your questions by basing it on important points and to get short, precise responses. The witness is responding to your questions as to the reason on the reintegration of the two divisions, and that cannot be responded in one word. Counsel, allow me to continue, Mr. President. And witness, please go on with your explanation. Witness, can I make a rather lengthy response in the form of a description so that you can fully understand it? Counsel, please try to make it short, otherwise if you cannot do it, I move on to my next question. Witness, yes, I tried. The reintegration happened because we lacked forces to the north spearhead. Question. Were divisions 14 and 11 part of the forces in the special zone? Answer. The divisions 11 and 14 were under the supervision of the special zone. Question. And under whose supervision? Answer. I did not know that detail. However, I knew that to the north spearhead there was a J-Ton. J-On rather. Question. And besides J-On, were there anyone else in the leadership? Answer. I did not know. Question. Now I'd like to move on to another question. Did you know that So Sarun and San had their position in Division 801, or were they later on transferred elsewhere? Answer. San later was transferred from 801 to 920. However, So Sarun remained with Division 801. Question. Can you tell the chamber which zones the Old Consign Security Center was in, And currently, which district it is in, and when was it established? Answer. I knew that it was to the north of a Swai mountain and to the west of O Konsai stream. Currently, I do not know which commune or district it is located in, although I know that it is in Ratnakiri province. Question. And did you know which sector it was in the northeast zone at the time? Answer. I was not that well familiar with how many sectors there were in the northeast zone. Question. And do you know when that security center was actually established? Answer. The security center was established in around 1977. Question. Besides its named as O Konsai, did that security center have any other name or alias? Answer. No. Question. Was that security center not a prison under the supervision of Division 801? Answer. That security center was under the supervision of Division 801. Question. In that O Konsai security center, where did the cadres and the workers in the center stayed or lived? Answer. Are you referring to the time in that regime? Counsel. Yes. Answer. Workers at the O Konsai Security Center were partly from Battalion 806 and some were from the handicapped office while others were assigned from the sector. Question. Did they actually live within the compound of the security center or did they live outside at the time? Answer. All workers as well as the supervisors and security guards remained living inside the compound of the security center. Question. Was there a kitchen and a kitchen hall located within the compound? If so, where was it located? Answer. Yes, the center had a kitchen. It was built next to the stream. Question. During meal time, did the cadres and workers and prisoners actually go to the kitchen hall for meal? Answer. During meal time, security guards and cadres in the center had their meal in the kitchen hall, except the detainees who were shackled. For them, the meal would be brought to the building where they were detained. Question. Were there pits within the compound of the security center, and if so, how many? Answer. There where there was no pit inside the compound of the center. Question. Yesterday you testified before the chamber that there were three supervisors, Sai, Tint, and you. Can you tell us the specific roles of the three? Answer. Among the trio, Sai was overall in charge of the center. As for me, I was in charge of documents and confessions of the prisoners, and Tin was in charge of security matters within the compound. Question. Yesterday you also testified that there were 9 guards. And besides the 9 guards, were there any other workers? Answer. The 9 people I referred to yesterday were those guards inside the compound, and there was no other staff working in the center. Question. Among the 9 guards, were they assigned any specific task, or they all did the task jointly? Answer. Tim was the one who managed the guards, and I did not know the details of the assignment. Question. Yesterday you also testified that the communication between the center and division 801 had to go through 806. It means it has to pass through Tasmin. Is that correct? Answer. Yes, it is. Question. And after the disappearance of Tasmin, whom your superior reported to? Answer. After the disappearance of Tasmin, the communication between the Unit 806 was to be made with the Takoi. Question. Did it have to go through other individual before it reached Ta Sarun? Answer. Yes, there was another person named Mon. Question. Mon, Smien, and So Sarun, did any of them frequently come to inspect the center? And if so, who? Answer. Among Koi and Mont, usually these two made frequent trips to the center. So Sarun never came to the center. Question. On what matters did they inspect when they visited the center? Answer. They came to hold internal meetings. That is the meetings between the Youth League and the party representatives. They would also talk about the situation and the security matters, as well as the living condition. Question. Yesterday, you also testified before this court about the living condition of prisoners, about the food regime, and I'd like to ask some more questions on this matter. Prisoners who were brought in to the center, did you know from which areas they were brought from? Answer. Most of the prisoners who were brought in were soldiers. Then there were a small number of people from cooperatives, and some workers from the union, although there were not many of them. Questioned, and those soldiers who were brought in, did you know from which unit they were from? Answer. They were brought in from Regiment 81, 82, 83, and also from Battalion 803, and some soldiers were brought in from the so-called special unit. Questioned. Those soldiers or combatants who were brought in from battalion or regiment, were they tied, were they blindfolded, and were they transported by vehicle to the security center? Answer. Regarding the soldiers who were brought in from division, I only observed that there was only one soldier who was blindfolded, and there were a handful whose hands were tied, as the rest they were not tied. However, there were a few armed guards who escorted them on the truck when they were brought into the center. Question. Do you recall the name of the soldier who was blindfolded? Answer. Yes, his name was Peng Poi. Question. Can you tell the chamber why it was necessary to have him blindfolded? Answer. I did not know the reason for him to be blindfolded. However, I saw him blindfolded when he was brought to the center. Question. Can you tell the chamber what kind of a mistake that Peng Poi was allegedly committed? Answer. Through questioning and based on some accompanied documents, Peng Poi was implicated in the confession of Lai Sarum. Questioned. And was Lai Sarum also sent through the Okansai Security Center? Answer. Lai Sarum was not sent to Okansai Security Center. However, I indirectly heard that Lai Sarum was sent to Phnom Penh. Question. Can you tell the chamber who actually made a decision to send prisoners to the security center? Answer. When I received prisoners who were brought into the center, actually I received it from the regimental level. Question. And actually, who made that decision to arrest those soldiers? Answer. I did not know in detail as to who made that order for the arrest or the sending of those soldiers to the center, although I knew that the decision was made at the upper level. Question. And did you know who were at that upper level? Answer. I did not know any specific individuals at that upper level. Question. Did the chief of security center have the authority to make an arrest or to release a prisoner? Answer. Security center supervisor did not have any authority to make an arrest of anyone in his or her respective unit. As for the release, he also did not have that authority. He needs to sought permission from the upper level. Question. And from whom at the upper level that he needed to seek the authority or approval? Answer. I cannot provide an answer to this question. As I have stated, the report to the upper level was made based on what happened on the ground, and I did not have the authority to make such a request to the upper level. Question. You stated that most of the detainees at the center were soldiers. And did you know usually what kinds of mistakes or offenses they were allegedly made so that they were arrested and sent from the division? Answer. As for the offenses that they were allegedly made, were mostly that they were accused of stealing food or fruit or corn to eat without seeking permission. That is permission from their group or unit chief. And some of them were accused of being lazy to work. Question. Yesterday you also stated that you were a member of the security center and that you were in charge of interrogating prisoners and preparing the documents or the confessions of the prisoners. Were you also responsible for making list of prisoners who were brought in and list of prisoners who were released or taken out? Answer. When prisoners were brought into the security center, the work would be done by the security people, that is to draw list of those prisoners' names.
Lawyer, thank you, Mr. Witness. Regarding the list of incoming prisoners, were prisoners sent into the security center together with their confessions? Answer. We have never seen any confession were sent in together with the prisoners. Lawyer, thank you, Mr. Witness. I want you to clarify for this court once again. When you went to work at the Oakland Security Center in 1976 or 1977, do you know how many prisoners were there when you arrived? Answer. I cannot recall the number of prisoners, but to the best of my knowledge, there were less than 200 prisoners, or I can say there were around more than 100 prisoners. Lawyer, thank you. You were in charge of the security center, said the lawyer. From 1976 upward, did the number of prisoners increase? Answer. I went to that security center in 1977. At the beginning, there were not many prisoners. 1 month later, the number increased. And that number was stable. Lawyer, thank you. When the prisoners were brought into the center, who was in charge of receiving prisoners? Were prisoners walked by armed guards? Answer. I never saw a prisoner being pointed with the guns on the struggle vehicles. As I said, I saw 1 or 2 armed guards on the vehicles which brought the prisoner in. And the security guards, those armed security guards, unloaded the prisoner out of the vehicles. Lawyer, thank you, Mr. Witness. Were they prisoners brought in groups, or they were brought in small number? Answer. Sometimes the prisoner would come in a group of 3, or sometimes 1 prisoner was brought in. The number varied, and not more than 5 prisoners were brought in at a time. Lawyer, thank you. You were a member of the security center, and you were in charge of compiling the confession when they were interrogated. Were you in charge of managing prisoners and controlling prisoners? Answer. I had no authority to manage prisoners in the center. Question. Who was the one that decided to chain the prisoners, to lock the prisoner in, so on and so forth? Answer. It was Steen who was responsible for that task. Question. I want to put a question to you in relation to prisoners. Were prisoners brought in together with their family members, namely spouses, parents? Answer. To my recollection, there was 1 prisoner that was brought in together with the family members. They were from cooperative, and 2 or 3 families from unions were brought in to the security center. Question. When they were in, were they put together or were they put separately? Answer. At first, they were placed in different locations. Later on, they went to work together, and they were allowed to stay together at the last stage of their detention. Lawyer, thank you. Within the security center, were refashioning meetings or re-education meetings held to refashion prisoners? Answer. There were meetings on a daily basis to explain the prisoners of the revolution of the regime. Question: who was in charge or presided over those meetings? Answer: it was Sai. Lawyer: thank you. Yesterday you told the court that within the security center there were different types of prisoners, serious and minor prisoners. Some were chained and some were detained in a normal conditions. Can you tell the court whether there were latrines within the center? Answer: no, there were not. There weren't any latrines within the center. Question: what about hygiene? Were prisoners allowed to clean themselves? Answer: in relation to hygiene, or whether or not they clean themselves, those who went out to work, they bathed at the stream or river. And for those who were detained within the holding cells, when they wanted to bathe themselves, they would be walked toward the stream. Question: what about food? Were they allowed to eat communally, or what kind of food ration were they given to? Answer: during that regime, the food ration was given in a bowl. Question: how many meals a day were they allowed to eat? Answer: one in the morning and another one in the evening. Question: were prisoners given meal within a large bowl or a small bowl, or just a ladle of food? Answer: it was a medium-sized bowl, not too large, not too small. So I can say it was a medium-sized bowl. Question: in relation to all the prisoners within that security center, you stated that therefore there was a refashion meeting to let them to refashion themselves. Were prisoners released at that security center? Answer: toward 1979, some prisoners were allowed to work with me. They were not locked in the holding cells. They were instructed to work with me close to the border. Lawyer: I would like to move to another topic in relation to interrogation. Yesterday you stated that you were in charge of interrogation, said the lawyer. I want you to tell the court, before the interrogation was conducted by you, did you in advance examine the relevant documents in relation to each prisoner? Answer: Paying Point had a document in advance, and at that time we wanted to know the reason that Paying Point was brought into the security center. Lawyer: thank you. You stated yesterday that during the interrogation you never inflicted torture on the prisoners. What happened if the prisoners did not confess? What kind of methods did you use? President interrupts. Please reformulate your question. It is the practice and instruction of the chamber that hypothetical question is not allowed. So you can ask about the treatment against the prisoner or the targeted groups at the time. So please reformulate your question. Such questions are not allowed. Lawyer, thank you, Mr. President. I will reformulate my question. What kind of methods did you use when you interrogated the prisoners? Answer. President interrupts. Please hold on, Mr. Witness. You have the floor first. Mr. Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honors. I object to this question for a variety of reasons. First of all, they seem to be repetitive. The subject was covered yesterday by the prosecution. Secondly, I think the Chamber allowed the civil parties only about 30 minutes. But more importantly, I would like to remind the lawyer for the civil parties that torture or the way prisoners were